Report will focus in on the Chinese yuan. Its role in global trade may increase much faster than economists expect. Courtney Donahoe is tracking currencies for us this morning. So, Courtney, what are you hearing on this front?
Well, hey there, Carol. And according to Europe's biggest bank, we're going to see a big jump in the next 2.5 years. HSBC says as much as half of Chinese trade, that's about $2 trillion, will be settled in yuan by 2012. Right now, less than 10% are in that currency. Now, according to the firm, China's beginning an ambitious scheme to make the yuan one of the major international currencies in global trade and to reduce reliance on the dollar. We've been talking a lot about the theme of dollar diversification lately. HSBC said it will be a multi-year and gradual process, but the pace is likely to be faster than many expect. Well, China's rolling out the yuan settlement program across Malaysia, Indonesia, Brazil, and Russia, all of which have said that they aim to reduce the dollar's role in world finance and trade. And HSBC says the process of expanding the yuan's role in trade settlements is likely to expand China's trade flows, slowing dollar accumulation, and helping Hong Kong become an offshore yuan trading center. HSBC believes that this will happen fairly fast. Now, the more challenging part, they say, will be to open the capital market for investment flows. That might take a little bit longer. Also, HSBC says China may surpass Japan as the world's second largest economy by 2010 and pull ahead of Germany to become the second biggest trading nation by the end of this year, Mark.
Courtney Donahoe in the newsroom. Courtney, thanks. Let's bring in Adam Boyton. He's a senior currency strategist at Deutsche Bank, which is the world's biggest currency trader. Adam, thanks for coming in and joining us on Bloomberg this morning. This prediction that as much as half of China's trade will be settled by its currency, the yuan, in 2012, is that realistic?
Look, I think the key thing is that it's likely to be a gradual process wherever you don't have capital account liberalization. So it's all very well, I think, to settle trade flows in yuan, but at the end of the day, those people receiving yuan are going to want to do something with that. So I think the key to watch for any kind of rapid move toward the yuan becoming a key global currency is what's happening on the capital account side. Are we liberalizing the capital account and are we developing Chinese markets to be free and flexible like those in the West are?
Well, how should investors be positioning themselves right now?
Look, I think over the next 3 to 6 months, these sorts of stories will be interesting. We'll talk about them for a day or two, but I don't think they really change the dynamics for the G10 currencies. I think probably the key thing coming out of China over the next 3 to 6 months is this question of, did Q2 mark the growth peak in China? So we get some GDP numbers out in China later this week. And if Q2 marked the growth peak, if China's slowing its pace of commodity restocking, I think that's probably going to be more important for G10 currencies over the next 3 to 6 months than these sort of residual dollar background stories.
And from what I understand, Adam, you think it is the end of the China growth story for this, at least for this cycle, correct?
I think that's right. I think Q2 probably marked the peak, and I think that's probably true for a lot of the bounce back in Western economies as well. Q2 saw stimulus programs coming to fore, the banking sector doing okay.
A lot of stimulus coming in. That's going to kind of play out here.
And that's right. And we've seen sentiment indicators pick up. We've seen that in the UK with the PMI, the ISM here. The question is what happens as we move forward through the second half of this year and into early next year. And for us, we think that the trough in Chinese growth isn't going to become apparent until we're actually in the first half of 2010.
And Adam, so the danger here then is taking a look at the snapshot as opposed to taking a look at the longer-term view, correct?
I think that's right. I think we've had a good second quarter. The question is, stimulus is not being pumped into the economies as much. As some of that normalization in markets that we saw in the second quarter comes out, where do we go moving forward? And in that regard, I think things like the dollar block currencies are vulnerable, and I think euro can push higher.
How about earnings? Tell me how that kind of plays into your thinking. Obviously, we're just kicking it off here in the United States. How does that kind of play in and how it might impact the currency trade as well?
I think the interesting thing out of earnings today is that the hurdle rate for positive surprises is really high. If we look at what happened to equity markets in the wake of the earnings reports this morning, not much of a positive lift despite earnings coming in well above analysts' expectations. So I think that what that tells me is that street expectations are probably a lot higher than what the analysts' numbers are.
Unrealistically higher?
I think it's going to be hard for the street based on what we saw today, I think it's going to be hard just to rally off better than expected earnings as we move through this week, particularly if the economic data aren't quite so positive. And the retail sales report today a little on the soft side.
All right, so still, no doubt about it, there's still some uncertainty out there, Adam. So then I'm thinking, as a currency investor, what's the better safe haven? Is it the dollar or the yen, which we've seen as of late so much?
Look, I think the better safe haven is the yen. And certainly over the next week or so, you might see dollar yen move back up toward that 97.50, 98 type level. If you see those levels, I'd be going short dollar yen. And the reason why I'd be doing that is because I think that's a very good level to take out some insurance against a return to a dramatic bout of risk aversion, or even the possibility that we're not through the worst yet.
All right, Adam, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Adam Boyton, Senior Currency Strategist over at Deutsche Bank, breaking down the currency market. Thank you. All right, you can find all the latest currency numbers and stories on our website. Definitely check that out, Bloomberg.com.